Welcome back, guys. Or if you're new here, this is Automotive Anonymous, and I'm currently driving the brand new refreshed 2024 Ford F-150. This one specifically has the 3.5-liter EcoBoost. It makes over 400 horsepower, it makes over 500 foot-pound-feet of torque, and all that power comes on really low. So this thing is pretty impressive. And that's just in regular mode. I'll probably turn it into sport mode in just a minute. But there's a lot to love about the F-150. In fact, it's loved, all throughout the US, Canada, and Mexico because it sells over 1 million units every single year. And in fact, there's over 40 million Ford trucks on the road. These came out back with the first generation back in 1948. So the F-150, you could say, has been around for literally a couple lifetimes of people, probably more than, the average lifetime. So this obviously has progressed a lot in the 14 generations, and with this new refresh for this year where the front end was tweaked a little bit, improved slightly, and then the infotainment screen was slightly updated, it still has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is honestly the main stuff that I care about. But overall, it's a really capable truck. These have really good visibility, still have the Ford distinction, the cutout down here, so you can really see what's going on, around you. And then the brakes, when you have to get on it, maybe half brake pedal, nose dives a little bit, and it stops you really well. Let's take a corner here, give it a little bit of gas, see how it does. That's maybe 2/3 throttle, and we're already back up to speed. What's really impressive about these, though, is that this EcoBoost is rated for 18 city, but more importantly, 24 highway. And for 2024, all the Ford F-150s have a 36-gallon tank as standard. So even after idling a lot, doing a couple accelerations, this one on a full tank of gas still has well over 600 miles of estimated range based off of how I'm driving it right now. If you drive it, to the EPA regulations, the EPA standards, you're gonna have over 800 miles of range. And it's comfortable. The interior, it's really quiet. Let me roll down the window, let you hear what it sounds like if we're not sheltered by this glass. That sounds substantially worse. And now it feels like I'm in a recording studio. It's almost silent in here. And we do actually have quite a bit of wind today. Just finished filming a regular review of this, but it was a little bit windy out, so I apologize for those of you who have seen that if you noticed any wind noise. But this is such a fun truck. I honestly didn't want to give it back quite yet, and I just wanted to drive it a little bit more out in the country. Where better, to look at cows, goats, and sheep than driving out in the country, enjoying the mountainous views, and having the capacity back here to take you and your family wherever you want to go. This is a 5-star crash test rated vehicle. It has some pretty good safety features like blind spot monitoring, the lane keep assist. Let's see what it does here, and it bumps me back in on that side. Really nice. And the power, so if you're a family man or woman and you like having a little bit of power under your right foot, this thing does a really good job with that. I'm gonna try to find a spot up ahead, do a U-turn so I can show you what 51 feet of turning looks like, which is average for a truck, a full size like this. But if you come from something that's not a truck, it's gonna feel really clumsy on the road. It's not gonna take corners very well. There's a lot of body roll because when you're 6.25 feet tall and 6.5 feet wide like this, you kind of need to plan out your turns so that you don't feel like you're gonna get a little bit tipsy and, topple over. But under normal conditions, that obviously shouldn't be a concern. Even just driving by these probably 6-foot tall guys, they don't look very tall when you're sitting this high up in the F-150. My backpack, it can't quite see over the window, but it's comfortable. In the 5-star crash test rated vehicle, there are sensors and cameras all throughout this thing, and I really don't have any complaints. I feel like Ford has done a good job of refining and tuning this vehicle over the years, but hey, here's a spot. Let's see if we can make a full U-turn right here. It might not be pretty, but it's gonna do the job, and thankfully with these 33-inch Pirelli Scorpion tires that are actually a 275, 60, 20, we can get through any turns we need to turn, and sometimes going off on the shoulder of the road, we should be just fine. This does have the typical spare tire under the bed. It's not a full size though. It's not a full-size wheel though. It is a full-size tire, but it's an 18-inch rim, probably just a Steely or something like that. And when I crossed over the line right now to give those guys a little bit of room, I could feel the wheel vibrating and fighting me just ever so slightly to remind me that I'm in the wrong lane and I need to get out of it. But even at speed, even going almost 60 miles an hour, when you turn the wheel, there's not much dead feel before it starts kicking in. It's actually a lot more responsive than I was expecting for a big truck. I think Ford did a good job tuning the steering ratio on this. But I'm sure you guys want to see the 0 to 60, so let me get to the private road. We'll do a 0 to 60 real quick, and then we'll meet back here. 0 to 60 in the 3.5 liter EcoBoost F-150. Density altitude's almost a mile above sea level, so this twin turbo engine is down on power, still a few percent, but traction's off, 4 high is on. I'll do a little bit of a brake rev, and we are in sport mode. Let's see what it can do. First gear pulls really hard. True 0 to 60, 5.93. Without rollout, it's a couple tenths of a second faster and closer to what this is rated. So really not bad given the fact that we're so high above sea level. All right, so under those conditions, you know, where I'm basically a mile above sea level, and I did do a 4 high boosted launch, a 5.93, that's really not bad for such a big truck. It's very similar to the run I did for the other video, so if you guys want to check that out, if you haven't already, and you want to learn a little bit more objectively about the truck, you're welcome to it. But honestly, I have so much fun driving these vehicles and driving the new F-150. It's crazy how much more refined trucks are, even compared to, you know, the previous generations. It seems like each time something new comes out, the old feels obsolete, it feels out of date, and it feels like it's a rougher ride, as these manufacturers keep making vehicles more capable, unfortunately more expensive. This one is an XLT, which starts at about $47,000. After all of the goodies and destination though, this one is actually about 63 or 64,000 MSRP. And then Goody Ford, which this one I will link below. They're a great dealership to work with. They have a little bit discounted, but modern trucks aren't cheap. You're gonna pay a pretty penny. That corner actually didn't feel too bad, but you can notice that these roads are quite narrow. So driving a truck this big, 6.6 feet wide, it really feels like something. It feels quite substantial on the road, but I'm at least having a good time. I feel like if you drive an F-150, it's gonna do the things you need it to do. It's gonna haul your family around. You can haul a lot of stuff in this specific XLT. Its payload capacity on the sticker is 1822. Depending on how it's spec'd for gear ratios in the rear and all of the things, the max towing capacity is 13,500. So for being a 1,500 level truck, these really are pretty impressive what modern trucks, modern F-150s can do. But anyways, guys, if you like this video, please consider liking this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Do you like the refreshed F-150? Have you owned one in the past? Or are you not interested? And if you are watching this for another reason, comment that reason below. Otherwise, if you want this specific one, which is a really, really smooth truck, I'll link it below. It's at Goody Ford. And I wish you guys the best. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see ya on the next one, I hope. Bye-bye.